Oh, it's hookah.
Is this hookah?
No, it's yours.
I just wanted to sit next to T-Ray. So.
That's fair.
I'm honored.
And nobody else was on the couch. So.
Do you need
I scared everybody away.
a plug of some sort to make sure that the phone doesn't?
I feel like we can add another chair here.
It is
If
at
we move that,
100%.
if we move Anthony's
That
chair
was
slightly
that.
to the left.
Okay. That. This
Okay, and
one.
that one's
Yeah.
done too.
Yeah, the other one before wins, and I made sure that I had plenty of storage.
Everybody's gonna be all right. Should be here in a second.
Yes,
Okay,
this one is now recording.
She already came in and said.
I'm curious to see how something's going to be.
Hi.
All right.
Last year was like Suicide Squad.
How's it going?
At least.
The thunderbolts of the other
Was I here for that one?
Yes,
The
you
drinks you
Was it
were.
my fault?
Recording.
No, I don't.
All right.
Mostly
Quiet. Yeah! Okay, we can start. We can start.
Why are you guys out there in the peanut gallery? Come join the circle.
You're on gallery.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes the peanut gallery is a critical part of the experience.
Yeah.
Carl fondness, the days of was it Shelby Edwards
Danielle, see you on
and
time.
We have an audience.
Hey.
We have a proper audience this time.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since someone sat in the back and just laughed at us the entire time.
Yes.
It's also
You guys
been a
should have
long
like a whole
time
bunch of
since
like
I've
rotten
had to
tomatoes to
worry
throw at people
about
whenever they
rotten
say they're not
vegetables
an
being
author.
thrown at me.
There's some watermelon. Please tell me about
I think they'll hit both of us, so we're in this
Okay.
together.
Alright. I'm gonna,
There's some in the fridge.
I'm gonna use the rest of the if you don't mind.
I will
Make sure you
say-
probably go.
It's a good way to go.
I probably just end up jamming my head.
They're
down
not
into
rotten,
Yeah,
so they
for,
might not
sharing
splat
it
as
for Ashley as
satisfactory.
well.
Okay.
There was no greater help
Fucking
to lay down for life.
chair.
We're gonna need one for Bethany as well, but we'll get to that when we get to
I brought in an extra chair.
Okay, cool.
Bethany was going to find a place and then immediately leave it multiple times to snack.
If you like to.
I will say, I think this is the largest grouping for the outlook that we've had since 2020.
I think that the first spring when we did at Camp Jacob was bigger.
Okay, so that was the one that I was not at.
Yeah. We had a
Spread out
nice.
one more time.
I'm sure we can do our best.
If I can lean against this thing, it's
Dry. You
Yeah.
can.
Maybe
it's
your
just
spring
gonna-
will begin.
yeah.
Do we want to rock it?
further away from the group?
It'd be like a
See,
rocket.
this
Let's not rock it so much that it
Behind
falls.
It will
We're
make
just-
the person watching the
we're just-
podcast
we're
feel like
farther
they're
away
ringing a rocket.
Actually, will make them feel like they're on a roller coaster ride.
It's boosted in there, but it's not badly screwed to the floor.
It is screwed in. It's just not tight.
It was bothering me the whole time I was back there. I was like, why is that not centered? You've got this.
Yeah.
It's not only not centered, but it's also not.
There's a picture.
I think
Straight.
this. Yeah, I think this room, this stage is meant for like the speaker walking around instead of being like that.
I'm just thinking like this is the favored half of the congregation.
I always sit on this
True
side.
believers,
And then those when they're like,
those lesser.
I mean,
Alright, so we now someone has to lie flat on the
kids
floor
over
between
there.
the arms.
Actually, no, the bad kids are probably over here because the pastor has to watch him.
Yeah.
okay.
So you're still pursuing irrelevancy?
What?
Grab the chair.
What?
You're the one who's
Well,
irrelevant.
This chair is just
Oh,
very.
Elijah, get on.
No, this is quite comfortable minus
You know what?
He's just gonna take his stuff and go. We'll
Yeah.
have to be here without all his equipment.
If Elijah's not here, who's gonna say, okay, let's get it back on track?
Okay, let's get back on track, guys. What are we here for?
Wait, were we ever on track?
No.
There is a
We are
track.
now
On
on
the
track.
track,
There is
which
a track?
is
I have heard
nerd
rumors of this
stuff.
track.
There's a track?
Nerd stuff. Speaking of nerd
Does
stuff,
it have railroad
if
tracks?
I'm
We are all little choo-choo trains, and we gotta get back on track.
because I'm watching this
Barrel
cool
of
little
rabbits.
display
It's
go on
distracting me
Rabbits?
too.
Rabbits.
Why rabbit?
Is it the
Rabbit
noise
It's
level?
supposed to be
Yes.
fast.
Yeah.
It's
Rabbit
amazing.
I watched the entire.
That is a.
I'm using an idiom. I'm bastardizing the idiom, and you're gonna have to deal with it.
Wow, it happens really loud today.
It's a barrel
I
of
do the
rabbits.
same thing. I do.
Autumn.
Calvin's
You,
a little
sir, I
pitchy.
Yes. When they asked you what you think of the sermon, you were like, well, the emphasis points were at maybe
yes, the
34.
Sure.
And
I don't keep track of minutes like that.
Okay. We're gonna start going this way, and hopefully by the time Bethany gets here, she'll have there'll be time for her to
Hello,
actually
Ashley.
the conversation.
We got a sheet for you with the soft cushion.
So the question must be asked:
Simeon, pull up a chair.
For the benefit of the radio, starting from my left, please introduce yourself and explain what you've been doing since last time you were here, or in general if you've not been here before. Hi, Luther.
Hi. That is your right.
Regarding writing or reading.
I'm sorry, I forgot what left and right are.
Not your emotional state, not anything else, just that.
Oh yeah, we don't want to get nothing personal.
Your emotional state must always be detached from your writing.
That's right.
Oh no.
Entirely.
Christopher, no.
I've got opinions on that.
Danielle, opinions.
Alright.
I think I need to leave.
Wait, are we going left or right? You said left and then immediately went right.
Right. I'm sorry.
Right to
Sorry.
left.
Someone please take away from me the responsibility of saying directions.
Luther, you first.
Alright, I'm Luther.
I'm Luther.
Hi, Luther.
Hi, Luther.
I started over my book again, as I always do in the summer.
There you
I
go.
loved your first 95 works.
Yeah.
Pure gold. Actually, those were 95 drafts of the same thing I just
So what has the response been from Rome to your work? Because I've heard some ominous things.
Some of the tweets were pretty mean.
Yeah.
I know, they say I have, like, harsh, corrupt language and that I should, like, tone it down. But
What are your thoughts on secular humanism?
I think we're getting off topic.
We are getting
Yeah.
I was wondering
We
about
could make
free
Martin
will.
Luther jokes all day, but Mr. Davis actually finish his thoughts.
Mr. Moderator, going off topic.
Let the record show we have the part. Other than starting my stuff over again, I read a bunch of stuff about Tolkien this summer.
Nice.
Oh.
That's cool.
Pastor Brito, you're a writer, right?
I'm a writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to join the circle?
Written a few things. I hang out. My flight got delayed.
Oh.
How long?
It's okay. A couple hours. So,
So do you want to join the circle?
hang out with you guys a little
Yes,
longer?
please.
Make room, come on, of course.
Here.
Want to hang out? And persuade. I can stay.
Everyone likes this.
Find another chair for Mr. Brito.
This is going to be great. It's going to have a nice clickbaity title.
Oh, it's just being recorded.
Yes.
Yes, cameras,
And it will be
audio.
on YouTube.
2026.
There's an
Uri
annual
Talk
4
featuring
viewers.
Pastor
All of them are autumn.
I watched it. I watched like
There was
twice.
6.
I'll let the.
It's hard to
I'll
watch.
pass the link to my wife so she can make
It is.
5.
Yeah.
Everyone likes that.
All right. What y'all talking about?
So far, we're just going around. We're going that way, discussing what we've been working on since we were here last. And
Like
introducing
reading or
ourselves.
writing?
Yes.
Both.
Okie dokie.
I think it's Ebenezer.
Yes.
My name is Ebenezer. I have written since the last poema, maybe 2 poems.
Woo!
Yeah. You said you weren't a writer.
I said I wasn't a writer.
Happens every year.
Someone's got. Where was it?
Where's
We're missing
Where's
the
the
pool
pool
noodle.
noodle when you need it?
Bethany.
Bethany, where are you?
Oh, I thought you said we found her.
Last year, Elias said that he was not a writer.
Yeah, when I first
in the
joined.
same sentence as he said, except for the 3 or 4 books that I've read.
And thus started the pool noodle being brought.
Once a writer, always a writer.
True.
You can't go back.
So you've written. I think Howie shared one of your poems about taking Dominion over a bad bathroom the other week. Over a broken, remodeled bathroom.
It was more about the evils of HVAC workers who don't care.
Yes, I remember that. That was a good one.
Yes,
That
I
was
did write
awesome.
that. That's great. So,
It's very important to document all of life.
Out of the
Since
heart, the
spring
mouth
poema.
speaks.
And
know
sometimes the
where
heart
Ev's heart
thinks
is.
that HVAC is first. I agree with this assessment.
Since the spring poema, notable books I've read have been Future Men by Doug Wilson. I'm in the middle of the Screw Tape Letters currently.
Nice.
I read Called to Lead by John MacArthur, which was very good.
How do they make you feel?
The Verdane Chronicles.
No talking about our emotions. We already said this.
we-
Remember?
Oh, forgive me.
I can't
You know
say
the Christian
anything.
life
I
never
smoke
has any
hookah,
emotions.
apparently.
Exactly.
What'd you
Frozen
say?
chosen.
I said I can't say anything. I apparently smoke hookah. So.
It's gonna be in the recording too.
Everything.
Usually at some
I'm pretty
point
sure
we'll find
Pastor
the
Williams
thread, and we're
has
good.
been recorded in one of the lectures admitting he's on drugs. So.
Yes.
If I deem
Yeah,
something
yeah.
cuttable,
Where's the pool noodle?
Where's the pool?
Go, go!
Ándale, ándale.
if I deem something cuttable, I'll make sure to bring as much attention to it as possible in the recording.
Oh, Ebenezer, on the record, whenever you're ready to share the hat, give it to someone else.
Yes.
And the hat must continue traveling around the circle for as long as the
I
recording
was
lasts.
going to say, do I have to be ready to share the hat? Or
The hat is
Say that the
mandatory
whole
to
time.
continue to keep the hat moving.
For the benefit of the
Not mine
radio,
deserves-
Ebenezer has the traveling hat.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Luther had it first.
So, my name is William Tell. This is my first poema. So, I can't talk about what I've written since the last poema, but recently, I've been working on another short story, just a little along as I find time. And recently, I've been kind of hacking away over the last 2 years on something that I call the Proverbs of Folly. And it's basically a bunch of quotations based on how Christians act and what they think that they do, but the things that we don't admit. So say it's all like a bunch of short one-line sayings like the pastor's sermon on sin was very convicting. I felt sorry for any sinners that might be in our midst. Stuff like that. I've been working on that. And also I've been, weirdly enough, just coming up with songs about denominational stuff but like putting it to the tune of Gilbert and Sullivan songs. And I didn't even try to do this. I just like do this when I'm like writing code and stuff. I just come up with this out of nowhere and I'm like, oh, I gotta write that down before I forget it. So yeah.
It's a good practice to be in.
Yeah, so that's basically what I've been doing. Very idiosyncratic writing.
What have you been reading?
I've been reading The Holiness of God by R.C. Sproul. Forgiven to Forgiving by Jay Adams. And a lot of Pat McManus humorous short stories and articles as well. He did like outdoor humor about hunts that go wrong and camping trips that end in disaster, and it's very funny.
Awesome.
Welcome back, Ashley.
Yes.
So I'm Ashley. Since last poema, I began doing some serious rewriting of the first several paragraphs of one of the books Jonas and I co-wrote. So yeah, and I also have gotten discouraged about my writing recently, and we'll see how things go, I guess, but yeah.
Why'd you get discouraged?
I don't know, I guess I feel like my books aren't as good as I thought they were, and I don't know, yeah.
That's everybody, buddy.
This is called imposter syndrome. Widely recognized and widely fought against imposter syndrome.
It's also why we edit, because that's where you actually make the fruit come onto the vines instead of just the bare bones.
Well, in short, that's just your skills improving, and so as you look back at your older work, it's not as good as you are now.
The person who looks at their work and thinks, oh, this is fine, I just nothing to improve, is delusional.
In the immortal words of somebody I know and love quite dearly, if you look back at your past self and don't find yourself at least a little bit cringe, have you really grown?
Yeah.
You can never be perfect.
Is that Barack Obama who said that?
To be free.
You're up.
That's very
Okay,
funny.
so my name is Zachary, or Zach. It's also my first poema.
Welcome, man.
So I have written a couple of attempted dystopian short stories in a poem last year. This year I've read A House for My Name by Peter Lightheart, Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis, again, Hannah Coulter by Wendell Berry, and also a book by Gary DeMar about the Christian history of America.
Mm-hmm.
So
Eclectic, I like that. Very good.
I have been working on the second book in my epic fantasy.
What's your
trilogy.
name?
Who are you?
Oh, hi, I'm Danielle. I forget that everybody doesn't know me because I stalk you all with a camera frequently, so I just assume that everybody knows who I am.
For the benefit of the radio, you have to say your name.
I'm Danielle Bowen. I am currently working on the second book in my fantasy trilogy, which I am accidentally wrapping this morning.
Danielle, I'm repping you on purpose.
Hey. And is the chunkiest book I have ever written, and also probably my favorite book that I've written so far in about 15 years of writing. It's a little over 300,000 words and should be coming out in November and has been a great delight to write. So,
Are you publishing with somebody you know, or just kind of self-publishing?
Self-publishing.
Which is
I've done it
the way of the future.
2 times now and have loved it the whole way through, except for the parts that were sucky. So,
which there are some.
Keep it up. That's awesome.
And then I've been reading over the summer, not a ton because of editing said book. But I did just read Things of Earth by Joe Rigney, which was fantastic. And then read Since the Last Poema, reread Till We Have Faces, and then reread The Return of the King, which I had forgotten the entire second half of the book and was glorious and phenomenal, and highly recommend rereading it if you haven't reread it recently.
I'm Connor McCroskey. I write poetry. I think the last author's talk I was at was summer of last year.
Yeah.
It was.
So I've probably written anywhere from 15 to 30 poems since then.
Nice.
I'm constantly editing, so I usually write poems a few stanzas at a time and keep coming as inspiration comes. Which means that I constantly have a lot of unfinished ones, which is nice because I constantly have new things to get excited about.
Heck yeah, brother.
I've been reading a lot of random, boring science books, which you probably don't want to know about. That's pretty much it. I've been reading a lot of poetry because I've been very inspired lately, which is nice.
By whom?
Reading John Donne, and reading George Herbert, constantly Robert Frost. I think her name's Madeleine L'Engle.
Yeah.
Been reading
yeah.
her poetry lately. So
The poem you
some
did
good
last
ones.
night was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
The mood was. It was like the legend at the beginning of a psalm or like the beginning of a poem where like it sets the context for the words ahead. The turning off the lights felt like that.
Yeah.
The legend at the beginning of the poem.
By the way, if I could just make a request, could you like put that poem in the chat or something? Because I would really like to read it again, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one who'd like to read that poem again, because that's something that I want to remember and think about.
I could do that. I don't have the signal, but I can put it in Discord.
Okay.
Thank you, Connor.
Janelle, what you got?
For the benefit of the radio, my name is Janelle, and I can't recall off the top of my head the last couple books I've read because they have been audiobooks and Audible signed me out. But I've listened to a couple audiobooks here and there and then reread Pride and Prejudice again recently. As for writing, I haven't been able to finish much, but I have started about, I want to say 5 or 6 different poems that are just still like in the rough draft phases as of late. One that I'm like currently working on and want to continue is one about like the kind of like the industrialization of North Carolina and the South in general. How, you know, growing up, these residential areas used to be trees, fields, etc., and just kind of like the passage of time and how the only constant is change.
The mass development of the Carolinas is to be studied.
Wow. Yeah. That's all I can really think of off the top of my head. So, thank you.
Ailey, how many opinions have you developed since last time you were here?
Innumerable, many a day.
Many a day.
But what have you been reading? Do you read much?
A lot. Depends. What genre do you want?
Highlights?
Well, first off, I'm Ailey. I don't actually do a lot of writing. It's mostly reading. I read a lot of nonfiction. I really like history. Highlights of the year in nonfiction, I read a book called The Gales of November. It was about it was adjacent history, I suppose, of shipping on the Great Lakes, and specifically on the crew of the Edmund Fitzgerald, because last year was the 50th anniversary, so there's a lot of people talking about it. So it was about the crew and that ship. That was incredibly fascinating, especially because I live in Toledo, and that's
very close.
It frequently docked there. Toledo was the Fitzgerald's ultimate destination on that. They were going into dry dock early and sank. So that was my highlight for history. Other nonfiction, we read in February for the book club that I run, Adorning the Dark by Andrew Peterson, and that was phenomenal. The first book I read this year was Theo of Golden, and I really enjoyed that one. I have since bought and given it to, I think, 3 people.
As one does.
So that one was up there, and I've read 70 books this year already, so I honestly don't really... Actually, that's not true. I reread through all of the Lord of the Rings, and those were fantastic.
And were you not telling me the other day, I don't even read that much, Bethany.
Do you know someone who reads more than you?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're all failures in your eyes.
But I don't do any writing, so...
There is that.
Still failures.
Alright, you talk a big game, T-Ray. What about you?
I'm T-Ray, for the benefit of the audience, or radio, or whatever you want to say. I'm the local...
The congregation.
Fuddy-duddy.
I think the word is clown.
Yeah, clown. So I've been trying to defuddy my duddy, I guess. Everybody criticized me the first time I was here because I only wrote theological nonfiction pamphlets.
That's a lie.
At the request of I know you're giving me that look.
Criticize is a lie. Bethany, smack him with the pool noodle of truth.
I deserve that. I've been reading, I don't know what has been in the last year and what's been prior to that, but I read Supper of the Lamb, which Tim got me, and I started reading Moby Dick. I read the 100 Covered series by N.D. Wilson, and I read several various works by James Jordan and listened to a bunch of audio sermons. And I've also been reading, kind of again and again, The Rule of Saint Benedict, which is, if you've ever heard of the Benedictine order of monks, he set out the way that a monastery should run in the 500s. And I'm trying to recreate that for my own life, making habits that are liturgical. And with that, I've read Every Moment Holy as well, which I love. Awesome. And as far as writing, I finished my, I made a pamphlet because my coworkers asked me to, about the distinction between Semites, Hebrews, Israelites, and Jews, and how the Bible speaks about each group, where the lines kind of are, and how to interpret Old Testament, New Testament passages wisely without, trying to make a ton of enemies on Twitter with theology you came up with in 20 minutes.
That is very geopolitically relevant.
Yeah, that I didn't want to write it, but everybody kept telling me I had to, so I did it.
That is why you write things, isn't it?
That's why I do. But also, I started trying to write some fiction, and instead of doing novels that I'll never finish, I decided to do some short stories that I'll never finish.
I feel that pain.
That just imaginative exercises. And my main thing that I've been doing, I've been trying to make a biblically accurate and edifying Dungeons and Dragons campaign, historical fiction in the intertestamental period.
I feel like you're not going for Dungeons and Dragons at that point. You're going for the T-Ray special tabletop RPG, which is also an excellent strat.
It uses all the Dungeons and Dragons rules. My sister is in it, so if you're listening, I'm not going to say any spoilers actually, because I know.
Dungeons and Dragons Maccabean version.
Exactly.
But do you have a bunch of creatures and magic systems, or are you just doing using D&D rules, functions in a...
I mean, I gave numbers to lions and, Greek gods.
Yeah.
I can't say any more for the sake of who might be listening.
I might respectfully disagree on calling it Dungeons and Dragons, but that does sound very cool, and I respect you for it.
We can talk about it at another time when
Yes,
they're not
indeed.
prying ears.
We love you, Kate.
Indeed.
Just need like a Kate spoiler warning.
Before I begin, I'd just like to say, T-Ray, your tonsure is looking excellent. Mine,
That's
I
why
have
I've
a
been
lot
wearing
of
this
work
hat.
to do. Live that Benedictine life.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear a potato sack to the next costume.
Can I be your
Maybe wear
whipping
two?
guy?
But if you want to join me,
okay.
I don't think his wife would approve.
You can't technically be celibate.
I'm not going for the whole thing. I was just trying to derive principles.
Oh.
Would that make you a lukewarm Benedictine?
He does talk about a certain kind of wayward monk at the beginning, which he says are the servants of Satan, and you should avoid it. So I'm trying to avoid being that.
Something, learning from our fathers without perhaps using everything that they used.
Yeah, he said
also-
laughter was evil, so I'm trying to be less fun.
Good luck with that, dude.
Chapter and verse, please.
Also remembering that scripture speaks of things like isolation and hiding yourself away as folly and foolishness, and the monk order highly encouraged those things. So
Yeah. For reference, I don't think that monasteries are what Christians should build. I think that we should build churches where everybody can get together and be in, like, community. But I think there are some good practices that the monks developed that can be used for.
They were onto something with their liturgy.
Yeah,
take the
for
baby,
sure.
feed the bathwater.
Yeah.
All right, now Tim.
Sorry. My name's Tim Bernat. This is my manyth poema. Since last time, I have added a few bricks and written my first scene for a graphic novel that I'm hoping to one day write. Check back in 10, 15 years.
We'll do that, brother.
I will.
As far as what I've been reading, I read Gaudy Night by Dorothy Sayers. We did Answering Speech for our small group at church. I read Confessions of a Food Catholic by Doug Wilson, which I enjoyed very much. And I read my first official James Jordan book this year, which was Primeval Saints. And I also read Bethany's quartet at this point, or does the last one not really count?
It's only
as
a
part
bonus
of-
book.
Okay, which I also enjoyed very much. So that's where we're at.
How would you refer to an appendix in the literary in the I guess the past tense appendictical?
I have no idea. I'm struggling to figure out what you're even describing right now.
The anthology could be like the appendices at the end of Tolkien's work.
I don't know. I've always just considered it to be just like a companion, where it doesn't have like a spot in numerical order.
Appendictical.
Basically, yeah.
Excellent choices.
It's my turn. Oh no. Well, for the benefit of the radio, I'm Elijah Rutan. I'm also y'all's host.
Ooh.
Debatable.
Debatable. Since the last time I've been here, I've finally gotten back into somewhat consistent writing again. I have one finished rough draft / manuscript. That is half shelved right now. I get to it whenever I feel like I have enough motivation to work on it. But I decided to reverse time to the first rough draft that I was trying to write. I was going to finish it, and then I started reading, and I realized that the prose was so atrocious that I could not in any way fix it. So I just started rewriting it.
I mean that is a choice.
Yes.
That is a choice.
And sometimes needs must.
Anything else?
Have
you read any books?
I have listened to. I have listened to all of Pride and Prejudice. Finally.
Nice.
Yes. I've also watched all of the pertinent films.
All
Which one was better?
Fate,
Which one was
I
better?
will say. Drum roll, please.
You
There's-
will be
With this
judged on your
very-
answer.
Yeah, very
Correct
judged.
answer.
Kindly.
The 5 hour.
Hello.
Correct.
Correct.
6 hours.
6 hours. Is there an extended version? If there is, I want to watch it.
I wish.
Director's
Yeah.
cut, 18 hours.
Thematically, the thematically accurate version.
The wedding ceremony in the BBC version is the 1556 Book of Common Prayer ceremony, which is what we use in our congregation for
That's so
20
cool.
years.
That's really
It's
cool.
the identical ceremony. It's the identical ceremony. I mean, you only get a sample of it in the movie, in the show, but we have the whole liturgy. It's pretty awesome, yeah.
We're gonna need to talk about relevant interests in media in a bit because that is a really cool little factoid. I appreciate it a lot.
The rest of the stuff, I've re-listened to several fantasy novels, Sanderson, obviously, and I've read 800 pages of one of his more hefty books, actually reading an audiobook. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Oh, and I've also come up with a really cool Indiana Jones style or type story that's in a Japanese aesthetic.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Interesting. Tokyo Jones.
Anthea, what
Yeah,
you got?
nunchucks?
how's that adaptation of Let It Go going?
No. What I'm doing is a translation of the Aeneid, but recasting as Frozen.
The method reading.
For the benefit of the radio, my name is Anthea. Since last Poema, I have been working on a lot of cartoons.
Very
Nice.
cool.
Trying to develop some stable characters. I have written several poems. And I have been developing an idea for a novel. But haven't written anything yet.
As one does. As one does.
Yes.
We love that stage.
As far as reading, I've been reading through the Pendragon books. I read a very good book lately called Orality and Literacy, which was about the transition of oral culture to primarily written culture, which was really interesting.
What is that called?
Orality and Literacy by Walter Ong.
How do you spell that last name?
O-O-N-G.
Nice.
Mm.
So you're writing it down? Refer back to
I'm
it.
actually really interested in that topic.
Really, yeah.
If you want, you can follow me on Goodreads and see just how slow I'm actually reading this year.
We'll make a note of it, Anthea.
It's my first year working full time. I'm just gonna say the reading has cut back a little bit, but
We can be ashamed together. We can be ashamed together.
other than that, I have been trying to keep my Latin skills up by just translating random stuff. There's this whole website I found that has catalogs of untranslated stuff in Latin.
Oh, that's really
I can just go through and translate random stuff.
Really cool.
The Frozen script, for instance.
Well, that's
The
on
law.
the
They used to
shelf.
call it.
That's right.
Libere, libere.
In which Olaf meets an untimely end. And there was great rejoicing.
Frozen is actually a Roman theater play to parody the Northern Barbarians.
Wow. That's good.
But I do want to someday, long term, translate the entire of Cato the Elder's De Agricultura. And I want to do my own translation.
That's really cool.
But it's a long-term project. He was a really awesome guy.
Yeah, maybe in a couple hundred years.
Yeah, maybe so.
Sidebar for that later. Okay.
That's all I have.
Hello, I'm Elias. I have not done hardly any reading or writing since the last poema. I have been fairly lazy.
Except for
Oh, you wrote
Shut up, Tim.
And an
You were
encyclopedia.
forewarned about the bitterness.
I have the full noodle right here, so I'm terrified. I'm shaking.
And you're wearing
I'm shaking in
so
my
you
boots.
can be shaking.
He's written so many poems.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, you have been writing a whole bunch of poems.
I have not written that many since last poema, but I have still been writing poems.
What?
What?
True.
Oi,
You've
oi.
been showing me so many poems.
Yes, but they've been already.
We've established this. We can move on.
They have most of them that I've shown you have been written already. I have been trying to expand my styles of poems. I've been trying to do different pacing, different topics, and it's kind of hard because you got to break out of the same ideas and you have to try something new, and so now it's a whole different idea. I probably have 5 or 6 different styles. I don't even know what they'll be called, but they're different pacings. And for our youth group, I've been reading the Screwtape Letters as kind of co-leader to keep everything balanced in our talks of it, so everybody stays on topic. And as well as I started reading Wild at Heart by John Eldridge. It's a book about men for men to learn how to be men again compared to what the culture has turned men into, effeminate and not being leaders, not being warriors, not being and hence the title Wild at Heart. Men are supposed to be wild and strong, and that's what I've been reading. I haven't read. I've got a couple chapters in. I am not very far yet though. And I think that's about it. I don't think I've written anything else. I haven't really done anything since last poema. I've been fairly lazy.
Have you been lazy, or have you been busy and therefore been unable to do things? Because lots of times people will say that they've been lazy, and in reality, they've been doing other things that are worth doing and just haven't had the bandwidth to do more.
I'd say a little of both. Mostly because I also have not been working full time anymore. I've been working on my own small business and then having lots of small downtime that I could be doing stuff with, but not. So I'm trying to work out that as an alternate habit to read and write more, but not very far with that.
Hello, I'm late. I'm Bethany. Nice to meet you, late. I'm Dad. But since last poema, it's been a little bit of everything and a lot of weirdness. So I finished the draft of the story I was working on at the time, which is anticipated as the 5th book I published. It's not related to the previous ones, but it's hit a little bit of like a weird standstill right now, where there's a lot of decisions to be made and a lot of paring down to be done. So I think it needs some time and some cooking on the back burner for a while before I can really sort through the things that happen in the book and find which are the ones that are necessary and good and which ones are the ones that I wrote just because I felt like it at the time. Which is actually a very difficult distinction. But in the meantime, due to the fact that that one is on pause, I've picked up a little bit of fiddling around with a story that I told Danielle about in this very building 2 years ago, right around this week, which is very exciting because that story has a lot of really interesting things in it that I want to talk about and is aesthetically very lovely, and I've put a lot of thought and research into the things contained in it. But all that to say, like, I feel like I've done both everything and nothing in the time in between last poem and now.
Everything and nothing in between?
Yes, absolutely. And I've read, what have I read since last poema?
We're in the same book club, so
yeah.
Surely one of those
Well,
things.
I'm trying to think of which are the highlights that haven't been mentioned already.
Howl.
That's true. Howl is a good one. It would be the first time I've
You
read
really
it
like
in
Sledge Patrol.
many years. Oh my goodness! I read Sledge Patrol, which
if you want to read better books, you just befriend Ailey, and she'll just tell you about all the coolest books that you've never read, and you go, man, I should read that this week, and then it miraculously shows up on your doorstep the next day, and you're like, now I have no other choice, and so I read a 500-page book of real testimonies from people who survived 9/11, and among other things. But the one I really enjoyed was the Sledge Patrol, which is about a number of fellows living in Greenland, right? Living in Greenland when the war started, and they were intended to keep an eye out for the Nazis, and all of them were like, well, haha, that's never going to happen, because why would the Nazis come to Greenland? You'll never guess what happened next. But there is something so good about that book in the atmosphere and the culture alone. Like, my favorite part of the entire book was near the beginning, talking about how effectively every man becomes the same man when he goes to the Arctic, because everyone realizes we are all the same people who are trying to not die out in the ice. No one locks their doors, no one refuses to share things, everyone is doing the exact same things to survive, and everyone just falls so deeply in love with all that snow and ice. It was so good. So ever since, I think it was February when we read that, or March. It would have been March. I've been wanting to pick up more books from that fellow, because my goodness, can he write.
Excellent timing, reading a book about big trapped in the Arctic a month with we got trapped in the Arctic.
Literally, though. It's so good. But yeah, that's me. Did we get Ezra already?
Hello, Ezra.
Hello. I'm only partly in the circle since I've only written. Oh yeah, I'm Ezra, by the way. For the benefit of the radio. I've only written one book, and that was when I was 9 years old. Every single other book I've attempted stopped halfway. But
You're a young man yet, you have time.
yeah, currently, I make stories in my head. I can't put them into writing very well, but I watch movies in my head. I make my own movies. Currently I have a 9-movie series that I'm. Yeah, part of it is like an original.
Mission
Fast and Furious.
Oceans. It's like the main story and the side story.
Sounds a lot like Star Wars. That was originally supposed to be 9
is.
installments.
Curious, you'll say that. It is Star Wars based. But it's a good continuation. The sequels suck. But
yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Right now I'm working on summaries so that I can try and get Ashley to help me write them in the winter, maybe when I have time, because I'm so busy with my landscaping business. But as for reading books, I've been reading this book called Delighting in the Trinity recently. It's a really good book. I definitely recommend it. Michael Reeves. Yeah. Yes. But yeah, I haven't read much lately, except for the Bible and
Bless you.
Go on.
Oh dear. I'm Autumn. I am apparently the moderator, as I have been for a while, apparently. It only occurred to me when Mr. Brito referred to the moderator. It's like, oh, right, that's what that is. The one that keeps this barrel of rabbits on track. Since last Poema, I have not formally written anything. I have been drafting and brainstorming the 3rd draft of my literary fiction novel. I was talking to Danielle about it a couple weeks ago, and she agreed that it's a bit depresso for writing in the summer.
Depresso.
Depresso. Writing in the summer. So once the fall comes back and I'm already locked in my house to begin with, I'll start writing the sad book again that gets better and happier. For now, it is summer and it's beautiful. I don't want to be in my house writing.
Yeah. There's something about the end of summer and the melancholy that comes with the end of summer that is just so good for writing sad books.
I'm gonna play Noah Khan on loop and just lock myself in my house for 3 days and hash out several thousand hundred.
Where do you all live?
I live near Lawrence.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So, listen, we may humbly disagree on where God's country truly is. You may call it Pensacola. I refer to it as Central Appalachia.
There you go. That's wonderful.
We didn't talk about what we've been reading at last point, so I'll say I've read Adorning the Dark recently, and that's was excellent. I love reading books about being a creative and conviction and how you live as a creative, especially as a Christian.
Well, it's not just written about writing. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah, it's about
we've
creativity.
probably all read at least one book about writing, about making things. But this is a book that is about making things, but it's written so decadently and so honestly. You can't not listen to this guy.
It's an excellent book. I'm not a fan of Peterson's music, but I absolutely love his prose. It's also the case with Nate Wilson. I'm not a fan of the 100 Cover series, but I love his memoirs. I love his prose. I read Adorning in the Dark. I love reading about creative, especially from a Christian perspective. I read Project Hail Mary. I listened to it in like 16 hours, like 2 days, and it was like, whoa, that's a lot of words. But it was quite good. The perspective of the guy having the worst day of his life, but it is still very humorous and light, and he's being very brave about it. Was a fun read.
There are mixed reviews in the group about the movie itself.
I loved it.
It was great. It was so good.
I had the delight of watching it with Autumn and Tim and another friend of ours, which was a great experience because they were thoroughly enjoying it, and it made it.
Yeah, I thought the movie was spectacular.
Weir's books are especially gifted in being adapted into films, perhaps because Weir leaves a lot of room for visual imagination in the production scale. Very good film. What's going on over there?
What are y'all doing?
We're at the point of hat stacking.
Excellent.
Gross hat match.
For the benefit of the radio, Tim, put your hat on. Put your hat on.
Hold on.
I wouldn't want to do that to here.
For the benefit of the
Sorry,
radio,
Elijah.
Tim has 3 hats.
Do we get to hear from Pastor Brito?
I'm just making sure I haven't missed anything. I am also in the place of not reading a lot right now. I'm working full time and also a little bit lazy, so not read a lot. Oh, I reread Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow in preparation for the film. It is a graphic novel. It is excellent. The film kind of Howl's Moving Castled it, but the book was excellent. Film, so.
I haven't watched or read either of that, but I've heard about it and I don't really care for it.
That's fair. There's a hot female-led action films are a bit of a hot topic, and I could see why someone was like, nah.
The whole style of the current DC universe is a little bit different. I think it's unique, and they're trying to go back to the old style of the comics.
Silver Age comic films.
They're trying to go. That's why they brought back the bright colors and the look. They're trying to go back to that idea instead of the modern dark and gritty superhero stuff,
which is good.
But I think it's something off. I don't exactly know what. Anyway.
That's fair. Yeah, I am really grateful that we're turning back to this particular style of superhero films because for all of Christopher Nolan's gifts, he cursed the superhero film genre with dark, gritty, taking oneself so seriously.
He did set it off, but he did a very good job with.
He made excellent films. I don't appreciate the styling as a comic book fan, and I can jump off that soapbox. We can talk about adaptation later.
I would like to see a black and gray or black and blue Batman, and in the new DC, that would be really cool to see. The black and the gray and blue would be really cool to see.
What I want to see is an actual good Bruce Wayne to go along with their Batman, because they keep giving us Batman who are interesting characters, but the Bruce Waynes are trash.
Well, that's why I liked Christian Bale. Anyways.
No,
Hard to disagree. Strong disagree. However, we are getting off topic. We have an exciting one today, guys. We have our first actual quote-unquote grown-up. We've never had an actual counselor or staff member apart from myself, or possibly Danielle or Jason. Danielle and I are kind of campers, kind of staff, but this is the first time we've had a proper grown-up at the table. Welcome,
great
Pastor
to be
Brito.
with you all. Pastor Brito, Pensacola, Florida, the Holy Land. Good to be with you. I'm trying to think of all the things I've been reading recently. I have worked my way through Crime and Punishment again, working my way through the quote-unquote space trilogy by Lewis. Of course, just finished out on Silent Planet. Worked my way through the next couple of weeks. I got to read Magician's Nephew with son number 4. That was very fun.
That's fun.
And working my way through Annie Dillard's book called A Writing Life.
Oh, that's very good.
Delightful. It's about 120 pages, very short summary of her writing experience. Theologian by the name of Rosenstock Hussey.
Oh, yeah.
Eugen Rosenstock Hussey, Revelation of the Cross. It's a very eccentric sort of political, philosophical definition of what it means to manifest Christian speech. It's really fascinating.
What was the name of that book?
It's called Revelation of the Cross, yeah. Oh my.
For the benefit of the radio, Tim is giving Elijah all 3 hats.
Sideways.
Impressive.
That was excellent. Thank you, Elijah. Pastor Rito, sorry.
That's all right. Theo of Golden was just fabulous. And then probably my highlight of the year 2026 has been Island of the World by Michael O'Brien. Which wherever I go, everyone says it's their favorite book they've ever read. But Island of the World is one of those books I would encourage you all to read. It's the story of a Croatian boy that begins in a little village, and to watch him grow up in the midst of just unimaginable suffering, and watching him triumph through these things as an atheist, and his sort of redemptive story. Michael O'Brien's a wonderful Catholic novelist. It is, I hesitate to say it's my favorite book that I've ever read, but in terms of novels, it has the ability to reach kind of the apex of excellence. It is just fascinating. It's about 800 pages, but it's ultimately just a delightful book. In terms of writing, I've written quite a few books, some commentaries. I'm working currently on a book.
We've been hearing about quite a lot about it.
Yeah, The War on Virtue. Hope to be out in January. And then Peter Lightheart and I are working a book. I'm writing it. He's going to be my endorser. He's helping me edit through. It's called on Samson, the Chronicles of the Nazarite Priest. The second one. And then I am currently working on a book on nature and its relationship to the law of God, sort of theological treatment on natural law and Torah. Sounds tedious, but it's a very significant issue today with a lot of conversations on Christian nationalism, return to magisterial Reformation stuff. So I'm thinking through these categories currently and writing quite a bit about it. And I'm revising my book, The Trinitarian Father, because it's been 10 years. So I have a second edition coming out in March of 2027.
Well, also
published by Canada.
Talking about the Torah, like God's goodness is painted all over those books in a way that I think a lot of Christians miss because they're distracted by the holiness of it, like the blood and the.
Yep. The blood and the gut.
But like God's
tears.
goodness is painted so heavily over those books.
Yeah.
They're so rich.
For the benefit of the radio, we have a 4th hat.
Anyway, good to be with you all. I appreciate it. I think y'all's definition of lazy is very different than what society defines it. You're the most productive lazy people I've ever met.
It's the Protestantism.
Protestant work ethic, that's good.
Our definition of lazy is relative to our desired profession/hobby.
All right, that's good.
It's knowing what you ought to be versus what you aren't.
Yeah,
and
very good.
capable of.
Very good.
Pastor Brito also has a great Substack.
Ah,
oh, thank you, Hannah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. This guy the last one, or did you read the first one?
He was first.
Okay. All right. Well, delight to be with you all. I got to make a few phone calls.
All right, Godspeed, sir.
Thank you
for
very
joining
much.
us.
Oh, Pastor Brito, I did have one question.
Yes, please.
With in addition to like your Johnny Cash covers and stuff you've been doing, have you ever heard of the song or tried singing "Sleeping on the Blacktop" by Culture Wall?
Yeah.
I feel like you would really do a really good cover of that song.
Say it one more time.
"Sleeping on the Blacktop" by Culture Waldwell, I believe it is.
Wall.
Oh, okay.
Culture Wall. All right. I'll make that my airplane listening.
Yes, sir.
If I could give some additional Coulter Wall suggestions, look at his stuff that's about the history of the Wild West, Wild Bill Hickok, his cover of Ian Tyson's song Bob Fudge, He's just got a lot. His song Cypress Hills is beautiful. He's got a lot of really good stuff.
Duly noted. I got y'all. Thank you.
Have a good afternoon, sir.
Bye, Pastor Brito.
Have a safe flight.
So we've had a very excellent speaker this week, who's now leaving the room, and
So now we can say it out loud.
quite excellent.
What a guy.
What a guy.
Really amazing.
Hopefully
So
you'll
Nancy
see
is the best.
One of the best speakers I've ever listened to.
Frankly, he's great. Thank you. All right. The perfect for the benefit of the radio, 5 hats.
Abby is the head that wears the crown.
Thank you, Anthony. I suggested that we do it on Thursday afternoon / morning after we got through all the lectures, so we could kind of reflect a little bit on what we've listened to this week, and kind of think, how does this impact us, particularly as creatives or people with a passion for literature? Oh, the man has seen his big infant child.
Sir, there's an infant child and you can do nothing for right now.
I shall return.
Bed goes to see
Baby duties.
Yes.
For the benefit of the radio, Tim's gone.
Yes.
And we are the less for it.
And we have less
All the bitterness.
We're being very
has
bitter
left.
about it.
We're getting mixed signals. Someone just said all the bitterness left, and someone just said that we are now bitter about it.
We are all the
We must
bitterness
now
is
carry
gone.
Tim's bitterness.
Yeah, yes. That he is
But
added.
it gets passed on to everyone else, so it becomes very diluted.
Let the reader understand that Tim is one of the most joyful people we know.
Yes. Listen, he was joking about this incessantly last summer because
So many people were gone.
you weren't there. Like, I think we had zero.
You,
like,
you weren't
published
there.
authors
Bethany
in the
wasn't
room.
there, and there's like.
It was like
You do
no
realize in
real
the
writers.
average room there are 0 published authors.
Yeah,
but
this-
as
this
in
was a
like there was nobody. There was a lot of new people and very few actual people that were normally there.
Yeah. Yes, he was like all the actual authors have left us and were being very bitter about it was Tim's running joke, and that is why the pool little bit was born.
Yes, it was, because I listened to that, and first of all, I was deeply touched by just everybody being like, "What do we do without Bethany here?" Which is ridiculous because this was
We
all
survived.
formulated without me. First of all, second of all, I was so bitter listening to that everybody nonstop going, "Well, none of us are actually writers," and then they're all talking about these like excellent things that they like enjoy and make, and I was like, "By golly, you guys, I'm not kidding you. I will get the biggest pool," and they're like, "Fine, I will hit all of you." And I did that.
And for other reasons as well.
Anyway. Anyway.
Danielle's going.
Danielle has it.
More bitter.
She may be back, she may not. We love her anyway. How?
She said she'd be back.
How have you received the lectures this week, particularly as a creative? Like, I mean, Pastor Brito had a great dovetail about literature, particularly yesterday afternoon, and I think I could count on one. Like, I was counting as the responses came up in the room. I think everyone who's been on this table before had something to say.
We all had a take. We had to have a take.
Who would we be?
So what? How have you guys enjoyed the lectures this week, and how do you think they reflect your opinions, particularly as a creative or as a writer?
I think something unusual about this series of talks, even in like Poema talks, every single one has been extremely convicting right off the bat. Like he was looking into my soul and saying, like, you have these problems and I'm going to talk about them. And I think the one that really grabbed my attention the most was using the language of someone other than God. Using like a set of words that was invented by the enemy. Not that like every single word you use has to be found in the Bible or anything, but thinking in terms that are determined by people who are trying to frame the world as a world without God or a world against God or something like that.
The phrase we used was, "Do not let the devil set the terms of engagement."
Exactly. I've been thinking about that a lot.
That's it. Yeah.
It hasn't quite made it to like how I've been writing necessarily.
I mean, we haven't written much this week, I'm sure.
Well, yeah.
I've written maybe 2 texts.
More than me. But that's a great takeaway. Like, we as creatives are having to establish what we believe as part of our creative output. Like, every person has a creed, whether they admit it or not. If they don't have a creed, they claim they don't have a creed, that is their creed. It's the same notion as everything is political, everything you create will reflect what you believe, especially if you're being conscientious about it. So you have to phrase it the way God would say it and not cede your terms to anything else.
And as Andrew Peterson talks about in Adoring the Dark, which is, as we said, a phenomenal book, but he talks about the idea of being hospitable to your audience.
Yes!
And not just telling a story in a way that says what you need to say, but also saying it beautifully and saying it in a way that makes people want to be there because you are inviting them in, and then making it a pleasant place to be, or at least a good place to be even when it's not pleasant. Like you know that what's coming next is going to be full of what is good and right and true, even when what's happening now doesn't feel like it could be.
This book is called Adorning the Dark? Or
Adorning the Dark.
By
Andrew Peterson.
Andrew Peterson.
Excellent.
I mean, in a similar vein, David Cochran, who has a lot of really good business advice for writing on the internet, like he makes you feel a lot more chill about the process, first of all, which is like essential. And he also just has a really solid advice on indie publishing through the internet these days, anyway. But he's said to like create a compassionate product. Like you want to make something that is good for the person that you're giving it to.
That's one of my vision board author quotes is there was it might have been a 17th, 18th century author whose name I have now completely lost. Is the essential characteristic of a really good novelist, like he's introducing it, a Christ-like all-encompassing compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how you approach your narrative, your readers, like compassionate. Which is in that you can tell when an author is not compassionate towards either the narrative or the readers. There is a narrative that is delivered with disdain, whether for the characters involved, whether for the story, whether for its audience. I can read a book and think this person is so scornful of something, or even alternatively, like you can have narratives that really want to communicate an idea but are entirely unsubtle about it, at the risk of becoming preachy, which is another factor in that, I think.
A common pitfall of Christian authors, especially.
With Jesus fan fiction.
Oh, actually, Christian authors and really liberal authors both.
Yes.
Yeah.
People who really, really, really want you to hear the thing that they're saying is what it is. It's
smack you over the head with a clue about it.
Yeah. The entire idea. I probably need to find a better way to frame this before I like keep repeatedly saying this to people, but the idea of putting themes into your work is to put it so deeply into the narrative in such a way so that, like we were talking about previously, the thing is in there and it has you look at it in a way that you never would have looked at it if somebody had just written out "be nice to people," you know. The idea is to put it in there so truly that you make the audience find that conclusion themselves.
One thing I've read and one thing I try to practice is not thinking about the theme to begin with. You have a story in mind, you write the story the first draft through, you read it back, and the theme will bring itself to light in the outworking of the story.
Yeah.
Like I wrote a story about people who had broken relationships. And the theme on the far end of it, 2 or 3 drafts in, is that pride will distance you from other people. And it took 2 or 3 drafts of writing it to get there. And that is a bad summary because I'm thinking of this on the spot. But
for the benefit of not the radio, for the benefit of the host, iPhone storage full. You do not have enough storage to record video.
Oh my.
No. This is so sad.
Double check that other phone too now.
That phone
I
should be
think-
fine. It had 7
This
gigs.
phone looks fine.
It's good for
Yeah.
an actual radio show.
It's fine.
Sounds like
I
this never
can-
happened before.
Quick, Elijah. Delete precious documents.
With the theme in mind, I think
can
it
deal
was
with that.
Jonathan Rogers who said that you have to earn the right to put the big idea in your work.
Amen.
You have to work for it.
Amen.
You can't just throw it on there first thing. It's like you have to put in the work to like dig it out of the marble, like Michelangelo would say.
Yeah.
There's the figure is already in the marble. You have to work. You have to dig it out.
How do you earn the right to put the big idea in there?
You have to put the work in.
What is the work?
Writing the story.
Development.
It's like
It's the foundation of the story in the first. Big ideas should never be in the beginning of the story. They need to be in the middle or close to the end, so that by the time you get there, you've already drawn your reader in. You've already given them little bits and pieces of good things along the way, and you've already asked them questions, so that when you answer the question with the big thing, it actually sinks in instead of just bouncing off their head.
It's had time to ponder and time to grow and
The ground needs to be wet from sprinkles before the big rain can soak in.
yeah.
Like Don Miller talks about this idea in his quasi autobiography about learning how to tell good stories. He determines after some brief study that a story is about a person who wants something and overcomes conflicts to get it. The overcoming the conflict is where you find the theme.
I kind of think of it like the
Hats have died.
Heavy as the
We're
hat.
down.
There's
We're
the
down to
hat.
3 hats.
it's been bad.
For lack of benefit to the radio, we have lost 2 hats.
Yep. I gave you that.
Jericho among us. I think
That
that
was seriously painful.
It was so funny. Yours.
We are down to the hat.
Free stack the hats.
All right, let's the benefit there. Just throw them.
Yeah.
Just keep.
Yeet.
That I guess works.
For the benefit of the crowd.
This
Tim,
is not my
what were you
hat.
saying?
I think of it like the theme should be so inherent to your story. It should be so grown into the grain that you can't detach the theme without pulling the story with it.
Love that.
That's awesome.
Amen.
Love that.
Amen.
So if you can pull the pieces off, look, here's a theme I found, and just like a piece of bark comes off, then it didn't take. It didn't work.
It's
So,
like when
like,
you
whose
quote.
hat is
It's like when you quote one of the greats, and you're like, "This is a really great quote," but you don't know why it is so great. Like you can tell just by reading it. I was like, "Oh, that's a great quote," but then in the context of the story, it's like, do you understand how good this thing is and what it means?
It's like when I pull a Tolkienian quote that I'm really fond of, but you can't just pull a line. You have to pull like 3 paragraphs to
page.
appreciate how incredibly based it is. Like Éomer's final defiance of the Corsairs at the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. It's this entire page of context that explains why the stanza he speaks in defiance works so well.
One of my new favorite scenes from rereading the Return of the King, which I realized I have somehow only ever read once before in my
Wow.
entire life,
Okay.
which is embarrassing.
Whoa.
But aside from that embarrassment, I was reading the scene in which Aragorn is in the citadel next to the top of the mountain, and he's talking to Gandalf, and they're talking in code, but you know what they're talking about, and he is grieved in heart because the thing that he's been hoping for hasn't happened. And he says something to Gandalf about it, and Gandalf's like tells him to go look at something, and he turns around and he sees there's a little baby sapling tree, and he knows immediately what the sapling tree means, and he is immediately joyful because he knows that his bride's coming. Like that scene I had never read before, never seen before, but like the joy of that man after like all that he'd been through, of getting to that moment and knowing exactly what it meant before it was fulfilled, is like, and you can't take it out of context.
Speaking of Tolkien and fiction, how about, and tying it back to Pastor Brito earlier, further examples of why fiction is good for people is that story is full of excellent people working hard to be more excellent and not just kind of coasting. And that kind of story sets good examples for people to live by. Like they point to the example because good old Prof. Tolkien was in fact a Christian who believed in Christ Jesus and wanted to emulate him. But in that belief, he wrote characters who could be respected and emulated. and that good fiction teaches us things about being better humans.
These stories are good examples of people overcoming their vices through proper biblical virtues.
And being diligent.
Yes.
Being diligent.
One of the things I'm particularly fond of is, again, Aylmer's Defiance. It's a defiance of the sunk cost fallacy, I think it is, where we talk about how if you can't win, what do you do? Like, the neutrality in the face of defeat is already a failure.
Huddle glum.
Mm-hmm.
Again, defiance of I am sure the sunk cost fallacy is a wrong term, but it's like the defiance of doing nothing because there's nothing to be done. There is still something to be done, and even if you might be losing, but doing the right thing doesn't become any less right to do just because you're not going to win. You still have to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You still have to defy evil, even if you think evil is going to swallow you whole.
Well,
and Aylmer knows this. He defies evil, and he is in fact rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched the movie yet, but from the Patriot. If I remember the quote correctly, I believe his wife told the main character, "You have done nothing to be ashamed of," and then he responds, "I have done nothing, for that I am ashamed."
Correct.
The opposite of that being Pascal's wager, right? Like the opposite of sunk cost is Pascal's wager, in which if you do nothing, that is the wrong thing always, but you must always do something under the assumption that it'll be something.
Inaction.
That's very badly paraphrased, but
inaction and neutrality are not in fact neutral acts.
Yeah.
By doing nothing, you're still choosing to do something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Can I have a short side tangent about imposter syndrome? Because I've talked
Yes.
to several of you recently about imposter syndrome, and then Ashley mentioned it just a minute ago.
The secret is to know you are a clown and continue to do the best you can anyway.
The secret is to remember, yes, and also, the secret is to remember that we are called to steward the talents that we're given, even if they never bear the fruit that we aspire to.
Yes.
We are still called to be faithful and to be diligent with the exact gifts that we've been given, and to do it well, and also to remember that where you are now in your writing career, no matter if you're a baby new beginner or you have 4 published books, Bethany.
Hi.
Wherever you are, God is faithful to use that work, and you are not yet who you will be. All of us are still babies. We're baby Christians, we're baby authors, we're baby creatives. We have so many years ahead of us to make progress. So be diligent now. Do the best that you can now, and the Lord will reward that faithfulness. And the best that you can now is not going to be the best book that you've ever written. It's not going to be the most beautiful thing you've ever written. But the Lord is faithful to use broken works to bless people, even if it's only one person. And I highly encourage you guys to keep plowing away even when you feel like you're not doing anything, because your goal is the glorification of God. It's not your own glory. And if it's the glorification of God, you can trust that if He use it down at that computer or that notepad, and you write intentionally to praise God by using the things that He's given you to do, it will be good because it will glorify Him. And that's, what else can we ask?
This is also defiance of the sunk cost fallacy.
Amen.
It sucks, so why should I bother? That's why you bother.
Also, nothing in this world is passive. There is nothing passive in this world, and the fact that we as Christians get to be part of what creation is already saying in praise to God, and we get to do it intentionally, that is a glorious thing. And
Amen.
Like every day of our life, everything we do, whether eating or sleeping or whatever we're doing, gets to be part of that song. So kick imposter syndrome in the face massively. Kick that kind of fatalistic mindset about your labors in the face violently, and then pray and move on, because you've got so much work to do and we don't have time to sit and mope about it. We have no time for that.
Or if there's something wrong with your feet, just punch him in the face.
What's that?
If there's something wrong with your feet, punch him in the face.
Don't worry about the scale that your work will do. Just worry about doing it anyways. That's what you're saying.
What's the phrase? In all labor there is profit. The labor, sometimes the labor is the profit.
And also, in the meantime, we can give thanks that we have the right desires. It means that the Holy Spirit is at work in us.
Yes.
And that's something I've even learned in my own life. The very fact that I have God-honoring desires is a sign that the Holy Spirit has given me those desires. Because naturally, what would I want? Earthly gain, instant gratification, everything the flesh wants. But the fact that I do have desires that are for things that are God-honoring shows that God is at work in me, and I can be content with that.
Well, the other thing that I hear very frequently from creatives is the idea that they're like, well, I'm not as good as, therefore I should quit. And it's like, well, dude, that person is a 70-year-old man who has been working at his craft for 40 years.
Yep.
Of course you're not as good as. Pick up your pen and get as good as. Put the work in.
And also, too, like, you can't really compare, like, I can't really compare myself to C.S. Lewis. I'm not a Brit in the 20th century.
Yeah.
And, so my fantasies are all fantasies that are set in Missouri, which is, C.S. Lewis probably never even visited Missouri. So it's an apples to oranges comparison. Now, obviously, I'm not as good as C.S. Lewis was, but again, I haven't had the time. But the apples to oranges comparisons are also very unhelpful.
The final thought on that tangent, and then I will be quiet about the tangent, is just that our ultimate goal is never to be as good as a different creative. It's something that Andy Wilson talks about. He talks about the fact that movie makers have been trying to live up to the Lord of the Rings trilogy instead of trying to make something better. And our goal is the pursuit of excellence. It's not the pursuit of whatever that one work was that we consider excellent. Our goal is to be as excellent as we can to the glory and honor of God with what He's given to us. And the goal should be higher than the most excellent work that you've given. And if we miss, it still glorifies God.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Part of stewardship is taking what God has given us and perfecting it to the extent of our ability.
When He's faithful with little, will be faithful with much.
Conversely, there is a healthy way to look at the people around you who might be at a similar position as you, but might be doing better than you. Case in point, I am older than both Bethany and Danielle, and have been writing very similar duration. However, I have published no books. However, this gives me something to aspire to. Like, oh, if they can do it, I certainly can do it too.
And also, let the record show that just everybody is also different. So you've been writing for longer than I have and reading better books than I have for longer than I have. Therefore, there are aspects of your writing where I look at that and I go, dang, that's a thing I want to be good at. And the actual mark of having the checkbox, oh, I published a book through the internet all on my lonesome, which is something you can do in an afternoon if you really want to. That does not make that published book does not an author make.
Point being,
be inspired.
That sense of healthy competition and that sense of building each other up, but also seeking to.
Well, it's like the track team or the cross country team, right? They all run in packs, right? And as you run, right, if somebody starts to lag behind, you say nope, and you pull them along into the rest of the pack, and you stay together and you run together, and you're running for the same goal and the same purpose.
Is this coming back to the monk conversation?
Yes. This is why we're all moving to T. Ray's monastery.
Is this going to be in Howie's cult? Garrett's cult?
Garrett's cult. Yeah.
It's going to be T. Ray's monastery where we play Christian Dungeons and Dragons all day.
Oh, no.
My kitchen cannot fit all you guys, but I'll try.
So here's how it works. You have Howie's corner of the world where everyone wants to live, and then
Howie's
on that
commune.
and on that in that corner of the world you have Garrett's commune.
Yes.
On a plot of land somewhere in this corner of the world, and then on that commune you have T. Ray's monastery.
He's not a monk anymore because he's not isolated. He's in Howie's corner where everybody lives.
He's in an
Monks
isolated
live
corner
in monasteries near major towns. Monasteries were a pretty significant part of a medieval economy.
Yeah, they were the libraries.
They made the beer.
Typically, towns were built
and
the breweries.
They just pretended that they didn't.
For all that they like to pretend that they lived in isolation, they just lived in different contexts than. They lived. Many monks lived in the same house and did many things together. They just did it slightly to the left of what is probably appropriate.
And it depended on the particular
tradition,
right? Yeah.
To depart slightly
Yes.
from the monastery loop and go back to another rabbit trail. I think in a similar way to the idea of what you win them with is what you win them to.
Yes.
if you are striving after some like imperfection, shall we say, even someone as great as J.R.R. Tolkien or C.S. Lewis, and you are not striving after Christ, you will be falling doubly short. Our calling is to labor where we've been put in pursuit of Christ, and so you be faithful with what you've got. You go as far as you can. You go as hard as you can, and at the end, Lord willing, you hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That's the goal. It also helps keep you humble, because you're not always looking at yourself like, how am I doing today? How am I matching up to my expectations? You're looking at Christ and saying, I'm running.
Amen.
You know.
Oh, and like, look, jobs happen. Like, I have things to do in my personal life, my family, my job, and at the end of the day, honestly, it's probably more important to cook supper for myself and loved ones today, and then maybe if I've got 20 minutes afterwards, I can write. But that's it's not like, oh my goodness, I'm frittering away my life with my family, enjoying myself. No, there's a balance. I'm not going to just lock myself up, quit going to work, and write all the time. And besides, I go about crazy after about 5 hours of that. So
it
balance.
It is crazy interesting.
I think you have to fill yourself and surround yourself with the sorts of characters and the sorts of life that you want to portray in your book. Otherwise, you're going to have a totally skewed version of it.
Okay.
Like, if you're just sitting alone all the time, how are you going to write relationships and conversations
Soapbox
accurately?
time! Soapbox time!
Supposed to live in community?
Whoa! Monastery guys, don't forget the monastery.
No,
The monasteries are
soapbox. Okay.
Are you a nun?
Having a life makes you a better writer.
Yep.
Yes.
Amen.
All you
That's
do
my
is
issue.
read books and write.
But do you know why?
Because it makes you more interesting.
Because God lives in community with himself, and he designed us to be imitators of him.
Yes.
We have to live in community in order to create,
And that is-
we are made in the image of God.
That is a facet of what I'm talking about. Yes,
Yeah.
correct. The things you do with your life are what inform you as a creative.
Amen.
Like the books you read, yes. The things you watch and consume in media, yes. Also the work you do, the people you interact with, the land you walk.
The attitude.
Yes, the way you conduct yourself. All of that is how you fill yourself up with things to write about. Otherwise, you're just kind of like, what have you got? What have you got? If not the things that God gives you to live and live back out.
Right. If you think of it as, what can I give? If you look at it as service, if you step back for a second and take a look at your life and say, well, I don't really have maturity yet, or I don't really have experience yet. I'm not maybe a very good character myself yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe what it means is that you don't write for a little bit, or that it takes a smaller form, and you do your best to be faithful in until such a time as you have something to give.
And
Makes sense.
I think broader culture, like non-Christian and even a lot of Christian writers, it's very selfish, because you're either writing to get published, to make money, to sell the most books and get the most fans or whatever, or there's a subset of people who write just for fun because it makes them feel happy.
Yeah.
But that's not what we should be doing. We shouldn't be writing to make ourselves happy, to make ourselves feel important or worthy, because we already have that. We're writing to share with the world. We're writing to give something, not to take more.
Right. The Christian is never on defense, right? The Christian is always pushing, fighting. Okay, here's the next offensive front. Here's the next thing. I mean, we're supposed to be leaven in the lump. We're supposed to be salt, right, and light. Things that spread. Things that that are active. And if you're just pulling everything, like if you're just consuming, then you're a parasite. You're not. You're not a producer.
Can I connect this back to the original question?
Yes, Luther.
Which was, how have these lectures related to writing? So that's what was talking about hospitality. How like you show someone hospitality, and that shows that you care about them as a person. You're not just interested in proving that they're wrong or that their life is bad, but you're taking them into your house and you're feeding them and you're giving them something that is good, so they see that you disagree with maybe what they think or how they live, but it's because you actually care for their best interests. So then
I think on
there was some canon press author, I don't remember who, but had some talking point that writing is an act of hospitality because you're inviting them into your world and into your thoughts.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's Peterson, actually.
It might be. I thought it was a canon press person, but I could be wrong. It could be one of like the Nashville people.
It could be both.
But
he's been putting a lot of stuff on there.
You invite them into your world and into your ideas, and that can function the same way because it shows. I mean, you have themes in your writing and ideas, and you shouldn't be necessarily too explicit with it. But
Because when you're that explicit with them, it's not honest storytelling. Because in the real world, you rarely get slapped in the face by a theme. But when you do, it's because it's been marinating in the background for a while.
someone reading your book may think, from this, I can tell that you think that this behavior is wrong. You think, you know, such a person is villainous or such an institution is villainous. Like maybe you're writing some sort of satire or parody of some current institution. So obviously your motives and your message are going to be clear, but you should still be hospitable with it. You should still show that you understand the motivations of your characters. You're not just portraying, even the ones that are obviously supposed to be bad.
Trying to figure out why that is, what their motivation to be that way is.
So,
but when people read that and they see that your villains still have human motivations, like you're not trying to excuse their villainy. You're not trying to show, oh well, they're just misunderstood. You think they're wrong, but at the same time, you portray them as humans, and you portray all of your characters as humans. And like there's a way to write that shows that you care about the world and people, versus you can write with a tone of disdain, which you don't want to do.
One of my, well, in my current project, my protagonist is in the middle of making a plethora of horrible choices that are not only hurting himself, but all of his entire community. And it is partially out of manipulation because he has a horrible relationship with someone who does not want his welfare, but it's also a result of him being foolish and hurting himself. But that is a protagonist. That is an experience any foolish young human has the possibility of making, and it is not the end of that story. It can be obvious that this person is making horrible choices and has put them in a horrible situation, but we can still say this person is not any less imago Dei, no less worth loving because God made them, no less worth rescuing and redeeming just because they've made poor choices. We all make poor choices, and we all have fallen sin and fallen short of the glory of God. That does not make my brother less lovable because he is a sinner. I am a sinner. I got no leg to stand on. And so my characters I have no leg to stand on over them just because they have made poor choices. I want to see them redeemed because I have been redeemed.
So I'd like to offer something for critique based on the things that you guys have said. I feel like I may have made an amateur writing error in one of my stories.
I see, right?
I've been thinking about what you guys said about earning the big idea. And I have a story that I'm writing that takes place in a less developed kind of world than the one that we live in. And my big theme, I started out, I was like, I want this theme to come through. It's not the only thing, but I wanted to show, not tell necessarily, that the conflict between mankind and nature has a solution, and the solution is not one of 4 characters' ideas, but it is one character's.
The secret third thing.
Yeah, it's stewardship. And
Amen.
There's a character who thinks that nature should dominate civilization, and that civilization was a mistake, and that everything should be allowed to grow wild. There is a character who thinks that they should remain separate, and that civilization should be its own thing, and that nature should exist outside of it, and they should be in separate spheres. There is another character who thinks that civilization should dominate nature and just clean cut, stainless steel, everything. They don't really have the opportunity. And then there's the last one, and the character is essentially an ancient animal that has been there since almost the beginning of creation, whose idea is that human beings are the kings of nature and should be stewards, and there should be give and take, but there's hierarchy that is developed. That's a huge kind of idea.
Yeah.
But I started the story wanting to express that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've necessarily earned the big idea, if that makes sense. I'm not like starting the story saying, hey, here are the 5 characters and here's what they think. How would I earn that big idea through telling the story?
You introduce the secret third thing as a secret third thing. Like, you explore the other options, and throughout people making choices and seeing the consequences of those choices, which is how character-driven stories work. People make choices, the consequences of the choices. By that consequence, we as the audience have to determine, oh, poor choice, the narrative's still getting worse. This is I think we'd go purely technical advice. When we are in the depths of realizing that all these poor choices have had serious consequences and we're not sure what the option is, then you introduce what we call the secret third option, which is not this, not that, these choices that have led us to difficult consequences that are obviously a valid choice. But this one, we're learning by the eliminating of everything else is the correct option.
Have you read the Space Trilogy?
No.
That sounds
Here it is
a
again.
lot like the first book, Out of the Silent Planet. There are 2 villains, and they kind of exemplify 2 different attitudes towards like space. One character
Don't
is like,
spoil too much. I'm about to read that Hidden story. Same.
this is the first book. This is Divine and Weston.
Okay.
One of the characters is like views.
Oh wait, don't spoil them, because I also have it right now.
Okay.
Any of them.
One of them views
Philosophy.
nature more as like.
Wait, don't spoil them. I haven't read them yet.
I'm not spoiling it.
Alright, guys, we repeated the same joke 3 times. Do not say it again.
In as much generality as possible.
He's doing it.
One of the villains views, like, they both want to colonize space. One of them thinks he's like part of a grand,
Manifest destiny.
like one of the old, like, first couple generations of atheists who are like, humanity is the way forward. We're the apex of evolution. We are going to spread, and we will each sacrifice for the future of the human species. We will continue to evolve and control the whole universe. The other villain is basically, let's go and harvest as much resources as possible to make ourselves rich and have lots of fun things to do.
Bezos mentality.
But neither of those is the right attitude. But it wasn't a mistake for Lewis to like portray the villains that way. So it can be done, and it has been done well.
So we'll go over the Space Trilogy and
I'll get back to you
report
guys.
back.
Report back.
Yeah.
I don't think the idea is not to have, like, I don't think that you shouldn't have the big idea when you start writing the story. I think it's more you have to, with your writing of the story, earn the right to put it in there.
Right.
Not that you shouldn't have had an idea beforehand.
Okay.
Or had an idea that you wanted to put in the story.
But dropping it in first thing cheapens it.
Well, I think Uri Brito's been talking about disarming your enemies, right? So you can set up your idea first by disarming your enemies. However you want to do it. It's about your framing and your setup, and then if you do it right, by the time you get to your big idea, even if it is close to the beginning, whoever's reading it will be ready to have it. Will be more likely to understand.
Think about it like this. When you build a house, you don't start with the crown molding.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You build the foundation. Is
that why my
then
house
you do
is
the frame? Probably.
It may well be it.
So on and so forth.
I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, he's got
Elias had at least 5 houses come down every time he builds them.
The crown molding is just so unstable it's just unstable to start with the crown molding and just build everything else on top of it. It just the structure is.
You crush the crown molding.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I appreciate your metaphor because it indicates that you have a life that informs your perspective. You are using crown molding as a metaphor because you have spent a lot of time in houses.
Tim, you look like you had a thought, and then I have a thought as someone who has written a book that had a big idea.
Ah.
Many of us have thoughts.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the way I think about it is, your big, like has already been said, it's okay, it's even good to have a target that you want to hit. The idea is the big idea is the skeleton, right? Put flesh on the bones.
Right.
Cover it up with your character, with your world, with your prose, and then when your reader discovers the skeleton underneath, it's something. I mean, that's sorry. As the metaphor continues, it's kind of weird.
But it's a good
But
I want further thought. I think the big idea you're thinking of is far more plot related than theme related, so that might help you out.
Oh, okay.
That was a similar, like, his concept was kind of a similar thought I had. I wanted to, like, ask everybody.
Let Danielle have her thought first, and then we can
Can I have one with Danielle?
We all have thoughts.
There's so many
Yeah,
thoughts.
so many thoughts.
Please take a number.
Have thoughts?
Yeah.
So little.
We're in a
so
queue.
my first book, Frostlight, has a big theme in it that I knew immediately when I started writing it, because the reason I wanted to write the book in the first place was to talk about the beauty of winter, because it's one that I've heard disparaged on many, many times. People who get discouraged and get depressed in winter because everything's gray. So knowing ahead of time what the theme was meant that I was able to ask the question at the beginning, so that your readers, whether I executed it well or not, but either way, your readers are able to go along with you when you're asking the question and go, what is the answer? So when you give them the answer, they're ready for it because they're looking the entire time to see what you're going to give them. Because you said, this is the question, and they go, okay, when do we get the answer? And so that way you get more of a payoff when you get there, because they already know that there is something coming, and it's something that they want to know.
I still don't think that's theme. I think that's premise.
It is premise, but it also is theme.
It's
both.
It's thematic.
Yeah, it is thematic. Well, also,
it's not the
not the ultimate.
The breath in the bones. As it were.
well, there's also a thing in storytelling called, you have your main theme and you have your sub themes, or you could say main plot and subplots, and sometimes they're very heavily interconnected. The plot and the theme are, and Frost is one of those cases in which they are, because this undercurrent is the sibling relationships, which is the most important part of the book. But one of the things that heavily affects the sibling relationships is the apparent lack of beauty of where they are, and how that affects all of them individually. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and it's like Tim was saying with how you can't take the actual truth out of the narrative or you rip it apart.
Amen.
Yeah, it strikes me.
You have to have all of them.
Yeah.
Alright.
So what's the difference in this case?
Let's finish. We had another thought.
Sorry, my bad.
My thought was just, you also have to be aware in your writing that if you're doing a short story, you have to be so much more efficient with every single word that you choose, because you only have this much to make your point. So you can't go on and meander and go off on all these rabbit trails. You have to be more direct. So you have to be efficient in the words that you choose and intentional in the words you choose, while also being kind to your audience.
I got a question real quick. Are you planning to write a novel or a novella or a short story?
Let's just say this is an extremely long form of storytelling.
Okay, so in that case, the thing I would encourage you the most with is to make sure that you have a lot of side plots to go along with it, so that you have good side courses to make the main course even better.
Okay, that's good. That's helpful to me, because I wasn't trying to ask the question at like the beginning of the story. None of the characters that I spoke of are anywhere near the very beginning of the story. There's like introduction to the world, and then a problem kind of resolves, like, oh, nature and humanity seem to kind of be in conflict. What's up with that? And then eventually it becomes more relevant as time goes on. There are characters that say, oh, I have a solution, and sometimes the solution works, and the other times it doesn't, and another character's like, I have a real solution, and a catastrophic failure, and another character's like, I have a solution that works more than the others, but doesn't really solve the issue at the core, and then you have like the final.
Pace that makes it look nice but doesn't actually fix it.
That's the one.
And that's how you slowly trundle your way to the secret third option.
Yes.
Yeah. I wanted to say something, and then Janelle wanted to say something
That's
as
what
well.
I meant.
Yeah.
Is that I remembered your thought.
You will know the truthfulness of an idea or philosophy by the fruit that it produces. And it is very good to explore that fruit, its consequences, and its benefits throughout the story in preparation for the true philosophy and the true idea that you're building up to. And you can have sprinklings of that truth at the beginning or just sprinkle it throughout the others because, common grace. But there is only one truth and only one way of doing things.
Right.
Godly.
I'll give my thoughts once.
And because authors write about what they care about, which means it will come through.
If you have to care about things. No apathy here.
It is something I care about. It's the question I see asked in the world that I think has already been answered by Christ and by the history of the church.
I have a friend who actually has done work in forestry, and we've had this conversation about how the world was created to be stewarded, and he has witnessed that in forestry. The way that trees and forests thrive under human maintenance as compared to as when they're left alone.
Like wildfires in Canada?
Can you see how that might happen?
Because we didn't take care of them?
Because some people believe in non-intervention in nature, and that harms.
And some people believe in too much intervention because California gets to problems because they don't let the natural wildfires happen, and then when one gets lit later, they get eaten.
Yeah.
And then we have those.
Try to be quick before Janelle gets back because I don't want to stop the flow. But
Don't hesitate now.
Extended metaphor. Buildings are not built well because the architects and the engineers don't work together. So the engineer will design all the structural elements. The architect will design the facade, and they'll be completely disconnected. So you'll have your pretty facade, and then underneath it just an interchangeable steel structure that's the same for basically every building. Compare that to a medieval cathedral where it looks good from the outside, and the structural elements are part of what gives it beauty. Like every aspect, the pillars that are holding it up are part of the aesthetic. So you could compare that to.
This is further Ebenezer where you need to get into stonemasonry.
Do you want to write a story where the plot is just some generic fantasy plot with your big idea and message tacked onto it?
That is how we get post-Tolkienic fantasy.
Post what?
Post-Tolkienic fantasy, the many cheap imitators that have come out of Tolkien's legacy.
Or will you have your idea and build a strong story that actually supports the idea, and it isn't just a generic story where the idea looks nice, but then you go into the story and it doesn't really. The story and the idea aren't really well integrated. The idea feels like an afterthought that you're just preaching about, versus the story and the idea are part of the same thing, and they are what gives each other. Like neither one would be fully complete without the other.
The way I've got it written right now is the story kind of runs headlong into the idea and has to go through it for a really long time, and you can just go through it and be like, oh, okay, well, I guess
The
we're
reason
through
my
it.
counter table must be massive.
Yeah, but it's the kind of thing you could go through and just read and be like, oh, that was a fun story, I guess. But if you're thinking about whether things are right or wrong, you eventually will have to encounter that for a really long time, and you could just be like, oh, well, I don't know, I don't understand. But
that could be like you walk into a cathedral and you think, oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
But you can also see how, if you look closer, you can see how the stuff that you think looks pretty isn't just there to make it look pretty, it also is holding up the roof. And without it, it would collapse.
Yeah.
That is also a responsibility of the reader, because an interested person will have a more interesting life because they're looking harder at things. Oh,
It's raining.
Connor, I think our disc golf game might get interrupted.
I think that it's going to be this loud in this room.
Nice.
Thank you also for bringing your personal background to bear on your creative life.
I need to roll my car windows up.
Oh, run, Luther, run!
Go, go, you guys should do that too.
Your advice.
I will be back.
every author is a little bit different too. Some authors have their big ideas super obvious, and you're like, oh yeah, this is epic. And some authors hide it really well. Like C.S. Lewis famously disagreed a lot with Tolkien, because Tolkien's like, why the heck would you have all this super obvious Christianity? And you're like, that's not gonna work. So Tolkien hid his quite well, I think, and C.S. Lewis is more obvious. Sometimes I'll write up a poem, and I'm like, well, I had this idea, and now I don't even know if anyone will find it, but that's
Some
okay.
people, that's where you have the diligent reader, those readers who come in and are excited to mine for what is good in the story, and the ones who come into it with the joy of discovery and the joy of finding nuance.
Can I add it? This is also why it's important that you know who you're writing for.
I know the 4 people who are reading.
I'm ready for Bethany to send me more gifs of sandwiches with someone's fist in them.
Yeah.
I would read this
But
story.
I think when you have like who you're writing for, you can narrow down what they need. And for me at least, that's kind of what forms the entire body of the story, of the plot, is what do these people need to hear.
Horrible bumper job. It's windows closed again.
I don't think I can see it from where I was.
Fair enough. I don't remember. Windows are not.
So
Your car?
for me, I see a lot of broken families, and I feel so sorry for those children. And so the book I'm currently writing on is a way of showing that those things can be healed, and that there is a way for those to come together. And just seeing those things made the plot, and made the theme, and made the audience all at once. I didn't even have to like, I want to do this theme. What do I want the plot? It all just came. So for me personally, I don't know if this is true for everyone, but having the audience and just thinking about them and what they need brings it all together.
Hospitality.
Yeah.
Also, quick side random note, authors do not have to be either big idea or subtle idea authors. My first book, The Big Idea, my trilogy, is a undercurrent of webs. And they are both delightful to write, and I encourage you to write both, because it's so much fun. No.
Sorry, I wanted to read for something. However, the conversation I was having with the different writing styles, and I was just kind of curious to see what everybody's, I guess, writing style for receiving like inspiration and getting the starting point out of things. Like, do you guys typically, when starting a new project, story, whatever, go with? Do you start with a structured, all right, this is the beginning, this is the middle, this is the end, like starting off with the beginning? Or do you kind of like fly by the seat of your pants? You have this random, idea pop in your head of a really cool line or scene or, sentence that sounds really neat, like in case of like poetry, where you have like this one line that you find really, you just think of, you find that really interesting, and so you just try to like build the entire thing around it.
Didn't we talk about this at Spring Poema?
This is a can of worms. I feel like we've talked about this several times because Danielle and I have had the same back and forth multiple times.
But I was curious to see how folks.
But by that you mean what jumpstarts the idea for a story?
No, just like what do you guys tend to gravitate towards? I guess, or both.
In regards to
gaining.
Coming up with the plot.
Yeah,
for it.
yeah,
Okay,
like starting new projects, I suppose.
I start with people. Someone whose story I want to understand.
Yes.
My current project was based around this singular scene of a young man who, for some reason, is standing in the snow outside of his house because his girlfriend won't let him in, and that the entire story is revolving, built out of why is his girlfriend able to kick him out of his own house? What leads someone to this point, and how do you get out of that? And that is where the story came from, and now we're 3 drafts in.
Wow.
So it's going okay, I'd say. But that took a lot of germination and a lot of more words to go from one mental image to a novel. Yeah.
I would say for me, I will usually have like one specific character, and then like what she described with the scene will come along. But because I'm a very visual thinker, the background and everything is super detailed, and it'll come to my imagination. And then when I start writing, the rest of the story either comes together quickly and I write the story relatively quickly, or it doesn't. And if it doesn't come together and I can't think of any good ideas, I just shelve it. I got it saved to my computer, and it's time to focus on something else. And sometimes I just need to let it age, let the idea age. There is a story that I wrote 5 years ago, and the story itself is supposed to be this humorous tale about this fellow who gets deceived by a leprechaun. And I was recently discussing it over with a friend from church, and he's like, there's no theme or moral to your story. And I'm like, yeah, I guess you really know. The big idea has only just come to me in the last few weeks, so at some point I'm going to rewrite that story to put the theme in there. So it's idiosyncratic, and the best antidote to writer's block is just to enjoy life, I reckon.
Yeah. With things in terms
Mic drop, almost. Phone drop.
Yeah, one thing, like, I guess one thing I've been, like, pondering more is when you're writing in shorter form, like, structure, like, you know, poetry, you know, short stories, etc., when you are focusing more on, like, just the concepts and visual storytelling through words, and you don't really have any designated characters, they're just more so, like, representations or, you know, bodies within the whole painting that you were trying to picture with words.
Tale of Two Cities.
Hmm?
A Tale of Two Cities.
Mm-hmm.
Dickens wrote an entire novel on his opinions of one of the French revolutions, and his characters were just kind of metaphors to further that end. I am so sorry to interrupt. I've been kind of pacing it. I have to leave at about 1:30 to go to do another thing, and it's about 5 minutes to 1 right now. So it might be prudent to start wrapping up soon. I told somebody 90 minutes, and we're at 2 hours.
2 hours?
Yes.
Wow.
Dang.
Dang it.
So any final thoughts, suggestions?
I just wanted to say, the whole starting with like a mental image of something happening is why I am really trying to get better at drawing and art.
Yes.
Because sometimes I have been talking all day and my brain can't function in words anymore. And I don't have the time to sit down and spend hours writing to get this picture onto paper. And it's easier to draw it, so I will remember it, so I will remember the way it felt in my mind.
Yeah, girl.
And then I can turn that into words later when my brain actually has that capacity.
Thumbnailing and visual storytelling, like trying to just, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can have like just a blob and stick figure scribbled in, you know, 30 seconds.
That's what some storyboards are.
Yeah, like storyboarding essentially your ideas, like, but don't sit on it if you can. Like if you have the idea, find a sticky note or something and just jot it down. It'll make sense to you later. That really helps like give those things into fruition, and then you can build off of that, I would say.
Solid.
Yeah.
Right.
30-second voice recordings. Just one random thought I had about Pastor Brito's talk, specifically about fiction and its importance with personal growth. Moving beyond that to even just like cultural, you know, the state of your culture, I think it's interesting to consider that, you know, stories come out of the culture that you live in and at the context that you are in, but they also feed and create the culture that you're in, which is why I think there's so many attempts today to change. I mean, history is made up of stories, right? So it's why there's so many attempts today within modern Hollywood and the media industry at large to change our history and to rewrite our stories, because a culture without proper heroes, without proper understanding of stories and where it's come from, is much easier to subvert than to destroy. So
that's also why we have a lot of superhero movies nowadays, is because we are a culture with no God.
Right.
And people who don't know God are looking for, thank you Connor, who are looking for people to look up to.
Yes.
We have no more aspiration.
Yeah.
So we want something
Bingo.
else otherworldly to look up to, even if it's fiction.
I'm gonna leave you guys with some talking points for the rest of the afternoon. If you've seen the Odyssey, the difference between telling a story for the Bronze Age and for telling it for 21st century America, because those are two different things. Why superhero movies are evidence of a culture that has no God. And how do you start telling stories? Anything else? We got it?
I got a quote from G.K. Chesterton that
Excellent.
I looked up.
Nice.
The one perfectly divine thing, the one glimpse of God's paradise given on earth, is to fight a losing battle and not lose it.
Amen.
Nice.
Amen. I like that.
Because our victory is secure in Christ. Hallelujah.
Amen.
It's like the tech. There's it. There you go.
All right, we're done.
And break. Thank you.
Thank you
guys.
Good job, everybody.
This was a lovely conversation to listen to.
The hat has returned to Adam.
Yes.
The benefit of the radio.
Honestly, 5 hats that were on at one point.
Yeah, that was just too heavy. It just slid down. It was so
I looked over to the side when you were like,
It's not
I had to try and see.
You look like one of those characters that you just is like a secret character. You have no idea who it is, but they're just always.